Welcome to the Intercut Podcast, the weekly show going over the TV, movies, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I'm your co-host, Zach Shevich, and joining me, he's the new Doug. It's Arturo Zurita.
How you guys doing? Excited to be here. Got some movies to catch up on and a little bit of controversy.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Always going to get into that controversy on Intercut.
Ooh. But it's not just any type of controversy.
Topics.
It's DC controversy. Ooh.
Whew, that's the kind that sets the internet on fire.
That's the kind I like.
Yeah, so we're going to dive headfirst into the very explosive territory of the new Justice League movie in just a moment. We'll also talk a bit about Quentin Tarantino's next movie and MoviePass cutting their prices yet again. But first, Art, let me know what you've been watching.
You know, I want to say that I'm watching the same thing everybody else is watching, but for a superhero movie like the Justice League to make, and maybe it changed, but the last time I checked, it made under $100 million.
I think it's 96 million, something like that.
A superhero movie?
Yeah, man.
The Justice League? How does that make any sense? Batman alone was bringing in more money. Alone. How is this? How? For those of you who don't know, it should be like 180. The record's was 202 at one point by Avengers. Obviously got crossed, like 218 probably, I think is what one of the Jurassic Worlds or whatever has. I have no idea what happened here with Justice League. I think this is people still resonating from the other stuff. We're going to get into some Rotten Tomatoes talk and how that came into play to make sure that that wasn't a deterring factor. I saw it, so I'm not on speculation. I'm just telling you exactly how I feel. If you feel differently, that's good. That also means I feel differently than you. I was disappointed, dude.
Yeah, that seems to be...
Yeah, and you know I want to... look at this. Look at this. You know I want to like it.
Yeah, you're not one of those people who's going in with your knives sharpened and trying to, like, tear this movie apart. I admit, like, I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to judge on quality, but, like, I don't really have much invested in wanting to like this movie. I know you want to like this movie, though.
I want to like it. Like it's so quick for people to be like, "Oh, you're just a hater. You just want Marvel." Or I want both of them to do good. And DC being my go-to in comics, DC being what I've grown up with, I want it to be fantastic. And you know what? At the beginning, there are bits in it. I know a lot of people like to smack talk Snyder and whatever, but there are moments where like he really dives in and like he gives you something that it's like, yo, this is the Batman video game and what I love about it, the aesthetic to it. There was a point, because they do bring Danny Elfman's score back because there was a swap out in composers, and you're like, if you grew up with it, you just know. And you know who else in the theater knows, and there is just that connection. What superhero movies are supposed to give you, you know? That Civil War scene when everyone's coming together and you and everyone else there is like, this is what it was like to play with your toys, and this is your imagination. There were points in this movie where I'm like, yo, this is Batman. Like, this mysterious figure, and it looks just like the Tim Burton set designs. Obviously, it's all CGI. And there's just a beauty to it, like, when they start coming together, but in between, it definitely feels like a movie where a director directed it and then somebody else came in and tried to do something different. Try to add jokes.
Yeah, and that's been one of the big controversies coming out of the movie, which we'll get into a little bit later in the show, that the movie does feel like a mixed vision rather than one person's vision.
Yeah.
But so you did enjoy it in parts?
Yes, like in the beginning when you're seeing Batman alone, it's like, oh, this is really cool. When you're seeing, obviously, some of the superhero stuff happen, it's really cool. Of course, I expect it to get like CGI overload because that's what sells it to audiences, and I'm not a fan of that. But what I really wanted it to thrive on was the League, you know, them being friends, them coming together. And I don't know if Mr. Avengers over here was supposed to fix that, but honestly, it was just like his secondhand Avengers stuff. Now, I've been saying like this is Justice League, a Marvel movie. And I know some people are like, no. If what you love about Marvel came from the Avengers and the guy who was in charge of like the character story arcs and all of Phase 2, aka Joss Whedon, and Joss Whedon is what added a lot to this movie, then it is literally, you like, this is, I don't think this is up for debate. If it's the same director, it is in fact partly a Marvel movie, right? If Joss Whedon is what made Marvel, this is kind of a Marvel
It's
movie.
at least imbued with that Marvel aesthetic, because Joss is so credited for the Marvel aesthetic and the Marvel just general,
exactly.
Like, how they move, the fun energy of them, how they
it's
move.
Joss Whedon. Now Joss Whedon is here. He gets a writing credit. He directed a big chunk of it. this is not a debate. It's partly a Marvel movie. That's what I think the problem is, right? This thing, it was supposed to be dark and gritty. That's what they started it off. That was the vision, right?
Right.
It didn't just change because that's what it was going to. No, you don't start out Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. Hey, let's just joke around. Avengers. Yeah. You know that this is that kid who has a specific style, goes to school wearing suits, right? Because that's his style. Then he gets made fun of, so now he's over here wearing hypebeast stuff, and it's like, bro, I don't fit you. That's what this movie is. It's sad. That's literally what it is. I'm watching this, and it's sad because it's that kid pretending to be something that he's not.
So this movie also introduced a few new heroes in Aquaman, Jason Momoa, Cyclops, and Flash.
Who the heck is Cyclops?
Did Cyborg. Cyborg? Oh, shoot. See, this is not me. This is not me.
That's cool.
Cyborg.
For a second, you got me, too. I was like, who the heck is Cyclops?
So, of these new characters, did any of them jump off the screen at you? Can you see? We're getting a Aquaman solo movie with James Wan, I believe, next year. But can you see any of these other guys holding up their own solo film?
You want to know the funniest part about it? The person who is half human is the one that was the most relatable. Cyborg. the one like nobody even knows his name, the actor's name. Or literally Cyborg's name.
Something.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody knows anything about Cyborg, right? And for whatever reason, he was the one that I liked the most just because of like how he assessed the situation. I don't know. There was something about the way they built his character. There was something about how he always had this like smug look on his face. Like, no, I actually have a reason to pout. He kind of gave the look that the other two kept giving in Batman v Superman that made it so brooding, except his kind of made sense. But you know what sucked about it? This is something DC keeps doing. You look at the actor and they're performing, right? Like, oh, this bad history that I have, right? Oh, you know why I'm giving you this look.
Super pouty.
Oh, wait, actually you don't, because they cut out your entire They filmed this. The mom for Cyborg is cast in the movie. She ain't in the movie. They cut out that entire scene. So this man is acting off of a scene you don't even know. Is it fair that I know it, right? Like, this was Batman v Superman's problem. The fans know it. You or anyone else who came in to be like, what the heck is this? I get you guys. I literally do. As someone who liked the movie, I don't think it's a master, but I really like the movie. I understand it. It's not fair for you guys.
No, at a certain point, the movie has to function as a movie. You can't expect everybody to have read
homework.
30+ comic books or seen 50+ movie or whatever it is. It's a shame if the movie can't be its own self-contained thing.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's definitely seems to be a problem. And I'm going to circle back to the stat I was trying to quote earlier. At 96-ish million, it's the fourth highest opening weekend of any movie this year, which sounds okay, but when you compare it to Batman Returns in 1992, made 98 million its opening weekend. That's a huge drop to fall when the 90s versions of these superhero movies are outgrossing you. We're in a whole different age where these superhero movies are supposed to make hundreds of millions. I mean, I believe the production budget on this was $300 million. So it's going to. We're definitely going to see some changes to the DC universe from here on out. But I know you watched another movie too. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on the smaller film you saw.
Now, for those of you who do keep up with the intercut, you know this man saw 3 Billboards a long time ago. We just got it over here in the Midwest, and it's called 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Way too long of a title. I think you said you had it up there. From what I know, his 3 movies. 7 Psychopaths still reign supreme for me.
Okay. For
sure. I really enjoyed this movie. A lot darker than I wanted it to be on my Saturday night.
Yeah.
All right?
Like
I should have expected that, right? I should have expected that, but I guess part of me was still had 7 Psychopaths and In Bruges in my mind, so this one caught me a little off guard, but yet know that I cannot fault the movie for that. I was expecting a little something different. No, this thing is dark. I remember you and I talked about just the whole story of it. She does mention Krispy Kremes.
She does? Okay, good.
She does.
I wasn't so sure about that. So that wasn't unnecessary.
Yes, and she does mention the beating of black people as well, because that does actually play a big part into it. It's actually really interesting when you see the movie and then you watch the trailer and you see how the audio was cut from the two completely different lines. You're like, yo, that's some good audio cutting right there.
Yeah.
This is what I'll say about the movie. A lot darker than I expected it to be. The scene that I think resonates the most is the orange juice scene. That goes hand in hand with another scene dealing with someone reading a letter and having to learn something. I think the orange juice scene is just dope in general. I like that actor. He was the one from Get Out. He can go from being super crazy and insane to like a puppy, like someone who's like, oh, you don't deserve that.
Yeah.
What I love about the movie is, and again, I only saw like one trailer by accident. I love they don't show you anything past the first act of the movie. I did not see the second act coming. Halfway through the movie, it is a completely different movie. I'm like, movies can do this? Oh, wait, that's right. It's because this isn't like some magical plot structure that other movies don't have. It's because the trailer didn't spoil that halfway through the movie it becomes something completely different. And then the third act becomes something completely different. And characters become there's a thing called character development that actually happens with these characters. And even the ending of it, the way it leaves it off, is something not only to leave you thinking, but something that you were not expecting to happen at the beginning of the movie. I love the progression of the movie. I love the questions that it asks. The performances were freaking fantastic. Holy moly.
Yeah, they were. Frances McDormand, she's my best actress frontrunner.
She is insane in this movie. Overall, I loved it. Probably my only complaint is that the Digit Boy, they didn't give him enough scenes.
Which boy? Sam Rockwell?
No. Sam Rockwell was also fantastic. He was a freaking idiot. That's how good he was. I was like, this guy's a moron. No. Peter Dinklage.
Oh yeah. Peter Dinklage. He does kind of have like an oddly small role considering what a big celebrity he is. I think I read somewhere that he and Martin McDonagh had been wanting to work together in some capacity. So I wonder if that was just kind of like, this is the role I got. know.
It's just,
but it's a fun little role for Peter Dinklage
fun
too.
Little role, yeah. I'm just saying, he had less screen time than he has feet on him, so that's. I just wanted him a bit more. You can never have enough Peter Dinklage, but
I agree.
Good movie.
I agree.
Recommend it.
I'm glad you liked it a lot. Like I mentioned on previous shows, this is one of my favorite movies of the year. You said that it was a little bit more serious than you were expecting. I think a lot of that is, like I mentioned. Unlike In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths, which both deal with heavy stuff, both deal with death and moral consequences and stuff like that. Unlike those movies, this film feels a lot more rooted in our current climate, our current political climate.
Yes. Smoothly too. We talked about this. He does a really good job. It doesn't feel like a social justice warrior trying to make a movie to make a point.
And I think a lot of that is really just the Frances McDormand performances. She's so like no nonsense. She's just to the point, and it does help that they do a great job of balancing the morals in this movie, making sure you understand that there's good and bad to all these people, and that no one's really like the hero. And I think because of that, you're able to look at an issue like this in a more nuanced way than Blue Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter or anything like that. I hope that people are able to get into real discussions on the issue through this movie, and maybe in a way that's a little bit more accessible than the way that it's presented on the news.
1000%.
So, yeah, Three Billboards is an excellent film. For me, I've seen a couple movies recently. I caught up with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which I kind of didn't really enjoy.
Hey, I'm with you.
It seemed like a lot of the same. I felt really predictable in the way that the first one wasn't predictable at all.
Yes.
I think it falls into the trap of when you make a sequel, you have to balance, give me everything that I liked, but give me something different. And it was a lot more of give me something that I saw before. Give me the same thing again.
And you liked the first one.
I did. I loved the first one.
See?
I was a huge fan of it. It's might even still be my favorite movie in the Marvel universe.
So that shows you how much the second one.
Yeah. In fact, I saw another Marvel movie, which is now my favorite since I saw Guardians of the Galaxy. Thor Ragnarok.
There you go.
We talked a lot about it last week because you had seen it, but I'm glad to have caught up with Taika Waititi's movie. It's really charming and fun. I think it does a lot of the way that Guardians of the Galaxy was so unexpected. I think this is carrying that energy in a really fun way. I love certain beats when you expect a heroic moment and they undercut it. There's lots of, the dramatic music builds and then somebody gets flattened or hit in the face. And I love moments like that, especially when they're as well timed as Taika Waititi does in this film. But it was also great to see, I'm someone who doesn't necessarily compliment Marvel all the time. I'm not like a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and having the idea of, you got to see all these movies. But this was one of the first times that I really, really did enjoy the fact that this feels like a full universe that you're just sort
running
of
into
taking
people.
There's a moment in this movie where Scarlett Johansson appears as a recorded message on a screen, which was from a previous movie.
Yeah,
like it wasn't even.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's from
it's not even
Ultron.
Yeah, it's not even new material, but just the fact that she's there and you know what her significance is, and it ends up being kind of a crucial plot point.
Yes.
It's kind of cool,
That is cool.
At least because I have some knowledge going into it. The fact that Tony Stark is a character in this movie, even though he doesn't appear, because his ship is there.
His clothes. The fact that his clothes just show how Tony Starkish it is. Mm-hmm. Clothes.
I mean, it's just a really cool. Now that we're getting so far into the universe, it lets you tell these stories in a little bit different of a way. You can use these people as archetypes, and you can use these people as touchstones for one another. And I'm excited when they find these kind of fun, novel ways to connect it. The way that Doctor Strange is kind of just a small part of the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
It's a really, really cool development in the Marvel movies, and as long as it doesn't make me need to have seen all of them, I'm going to be for it still.
Like, you get the point of it. See, and this is you're not the superhero fan, so for you to like it, that's dope. That's why I appreciate it, especially, and I like that Marvel's doing this, bringing in all of these like indie directors and people like that. Because Taika Waititi, like, that's not just like a good person to bring for a sequel. That's a good person to do for anything. Yeah.
I mean, he's just they need to just keep grabbing these great filmmakers. Yeah. I mean, people are so hype on Black Panther, and I am. Everybody just loves Ryan Coogler, and if you love Ryan Coogler, like, give that dude that movie, and you might get some movie as hyped as Black Panther is right now.
What did you think of Korg, who Taika Waititi played in the movie The Rock?
I kind of loved him.
He is fantastic. All of my friends and I, that's all we talk. Hey man, you want to come? You want to come hang out? That Australian stereotype's fantastic.
Yeah, that's the new Doug.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Quirk. I just think Taika has got a really great sense of humor. If you've seen his other films, then there's a lot of the same sensibility.
Watch What We Do in the Shadows.
Awkward
Watch
dryness.
It.
Yes. If you take anything from our conversations, it's check out What We Do in the Shadows. We are both huge.
You've already seen Thor. Like, that's the best part about Thor 2, or Thor 3. The best part about Thor is that it will get people to now watch indie movies, because we know a lot of people are always like, yeah, but I don't know, is it worth my time? Boy, you binge watching shows you've seen 3 times. You know what I'm talking about? But now that you've seen that he can entertain you, give those other ones a shot, because they're insane.
Yeah, absolutely. We move on to Yay or Nay, the segment where we look at the latest happenings in the entertainment industry.
Let's go.
Variety has reported that, I believe it's Paramount is contributing $100 million plus to the next Quentin Tarantino film after the filmmaker's departure from the Weinstein Company. We previously talked on this podcast about the possibility that the movie would be about Charles Manson, the very recently deceased cult leader, and what feels like viral marketing. I don't know. The cult leader whose gang went on a killing spree in the late 60s is not actually the center of the film. It's more generally about the year 1969, and those murders play a role in the background. We learned a little bit more about the film this week, in that it's going to be centered around a TV actor who's getting a new pilot in 1969, and it's going to be very much about the culture of the era. We also learned that Deadline is saying Tom Cruise is in talks for a role.
Holy
People like
smokes.
Margot Robbie and Leonardo DiCaprio are potentially attached. Art, yay or nay on all of these updates, making you more excited for the new Tarantino film?
A couple episodes ago, we talked about this when we said that he was going to make one on the Manson murders, and I was a little iffy on that one. This is how news changes. I was a little iffy because I had brought up Pain and Gain, making a movie about people who were victims and their families are still alive.
Right.
This news, now it gets mixed up because I'm like, there's no way. You know, like, Quentin Tarantino, his movies are detestable. I don't want to say he is, so that idea was a little crazy. This makes so much more sense. Like, covering the Manson murders would be like insane. I definitely want to see that because it's just intriguing because of how it's something that was real, but it's so insane that it happened, especially after watching Mindhunters. I'm just waiting for season 2 because I know eventually they you've seen it, right? You seen Mindhunters?
I'm only halfway through, but
fantastic.
Yeah.
But so it's like covering that would have been really good, but knowing Quentin Tarantino, it's like now seeing that he's covering the culture.
Yeah.
That's and then I keep forgetting that him and Weinstein were like with the company. I completely, with everything that the whole fallout, like you were bringing it up that he's got somebody else after this thing with the
Sony actually. I made a mistake. Is the one who picked up the movie.
Yeah, whoever did, thank you Jeeves, because the thing is, I think his last one to get 100 mil was Django. What was the one like just Hateful Late? I believe only got 50. If I'm not mistaken.
I believe it was.
Doesn't need it. Other than the stars and that freaking guitar that they broke, that was an actual prop. But when I love Django, like Django's my favorite. I don't think it's his best. I know the difference between best and my favorite. So if he's able to just go full on into it, that cast, just the entirety of the culture of that time in general. Charles Manson to add some craziness to it, giving Tarantino that 100 mil. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was like you, nervous about the idea of him handling real tragedy. Yeah. He's not somebody much for subtlety, but I heard this movie explained, or I read a description online that to call this movie about Manson would be saying that Inglourious Basterds was a movie about Hitler. And that makes it feel a lot more. I feel like I get the idea.
That's perfect. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm gonna reluctantly switch to a yay. I mean, like, I'm excited to see Tarantino kind of expand what he does. This isn't necessarily gonna be the kind of film we're used to seeing from him. His period pieces are usually much more period than this. And, experimenting in I mean, he's clearly influenced by 60s, 70s culture extensively in his movies and his art. So it'll be cool to see what his commentary on the era is. I'm a little bit hesitant just because of the whole, like, living in this era of fake news. Do we need a movie where, he shotguns Charles Manson in the face instead of Hitler this time? Yeah. He's one of our most interesting filmmakers, though, so I'm just excited to see him experiment in this whole era and with that big of a budget as well. Many of the Zack Snyder faithful are upset with the final cut of DC's recent release Justice League. Even the devoted followers of the movie can't help but notice that the final product feels like a combination of Zack Snyder's vision, Joss Whedon's vision, Warner Brothers' vision. So fans have collected over 60,000 signatures on a Change.org petition to force Warner Brothers to release a director's cut of the recent blockbuster. Art, are you yay or nay on Warner Brothers releasing Snyder's cut of Justice League?
Do Change.org petitions actually ever come true?
I think sometimes, but I'm pretty sure that's like a government thing, and I don't think the government can tell Warner Brothers what to do.
What to do, yeah. Force Warner Brothers what to do. They have to make DVD sales. There's going to be some extra cut. No need to sign a petition. Just wait. Yeah. But y'all want to be on the news. I get it. Y'all want to have something to talk about. And news articles need something to direct traffic to because Justice League and these big movies make the most money. I don't really care for it. I'm gonna say nay in the sense of even the ultimate cut would be incomplete because of the circumstances. He had to leave because of his daughter's suicide.
Yeah.
So I know there was a little percentage that's not even there. I believe he filmed like 80 to 85%. Here's a kicker for you. He filmed 80 to 85% of the movie. That's a lot of the movie. There was still 15% left, right?
Yeah.
That's when Joss Whedon came in and he did his thing. So for the people saying that it's impossible, like the producer saying, no, this is Zack Snyder's vision. Joss Whedon only had like 15 to 20% of the movie to complete. So, like, seriously, how much change can 15 to 20% of the movie do?
Yeah.
Now, that was from a producer, and that's what really worries me. Like, we already know producers are producers. But that kind of saying, what can 15 to 20% of a movie actually do? Okay, turn off the movie with 15 to 20% still left to go.
Right.
In the beginning, in the middle, in the end. And what people forget is that it's not just like a 15, 20-minute scene. It is literal endings to scenes. It is literal just snippets. It is literal reactions. That's the whole debate that still goes on between the final cuts of Blade Runner, right?
Right.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's it called? The ultimate cut of Batman v Superman that not only added scenes, but just a minute or 30 seconds more to scenes. Extra just cutaways that add a lot to characters.
Yeah, I mean,
It's sad.
When you look at a film and when you're working on a film, it is really small moments that can make a huge difference. Just the way scenes end, the way scenes are cut, changes pacing and changes energy. So,
motives.
It's totally possible that a Snyder cut would feel completely different. That being said, I don't. Are we going to release that bootleg Wolverine version of the movie or something? He didn't finish the movie.
Yes.
It's at a certain extent like, I'm sorry, but there was these tragic circumstances around.
There is no cut. That's what people don't get. That's why I think this thing is buffoonery at its finest.
Right.
What cut? First of all, for it to be his cut, that means he has to come back and work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, come back and work on something that, one, he wasn't able to finish. He does not have 50% of his footage. Two, back to a scenario that has to call back to something that he had to leave. You get what I mean? Like, emotionally. Yes, that's sick, dude.
Yeah, it's a really weird request.
Yes.
And it's definitely done from a place of not knowing about how films are made. I mean, part of the petition requests that they change the score back to the Junkie XL score from the Danny Elfman score, but
that's an interesting one.
But again, like that, we don't know how finished either score is.
Exactly.
Or
You can just hop it back in.
Yeah, it's not like it's like a flipping of a switch or something. All that being said, I think it'd be cool to see like more of these things happen. Like when I've heard that Sean Penn's original cut of Into the Wild was 4 hours long. Like I'd love for that to be on the DVD and stuff like that. But the cut has to exist for them to put it on a DVD.
Yeah, for one. Two, I get what you're saying. I think that's really cool. But the problem with having like extra cuts, I would love for that to be a thing, right? But in order for there to be extra cuts, then that means that they're probably dumbing down. That's just how it is. That means they're dumbing down whatever the theatrical cut is. Now, in scenarios like that, like Django's 5-hour cut, that 4-hour cut, Blade Runner's, well, I think that was also a 5-hour cut. Yeah. I'm cool with those because it's just, in a sense, a reduced version of the movie that obviously needs to come out in theaters. It cannot be 5 hours long. But for scenarios like that, where there's just extra material, sure. But, like, the thing with Batman v Superman is that they altered things. The thing with Rogue One is, like, they altered things. Like, the thing with this one is that they altered things, and it's, like...
Yeah, directors came in and changed the vision.
And
movies
this ain't
aren't
Battlefront 2.
Movies also aren't one person's product. Like, that's what we have to keep in mind, too. It's not...
Yeah.
It's... Zack Snyder would have had a lot of the same influences on him that Joss Whedon did. So who knows how different the cut would have been.
Yeah.
Do you want to mention at all the situation with the Joss Whedon tweet?
Let me cover that Joss Whedon stuff right now. All right, so for those of you who don't know, Joss Whedon's a scumbag. That is a personal opinion, my thing, and this is something from I really like his stuff. Like, I have been waiting to just have, I don't know, a staycation type thing where I just binge watch a couple of shows that I've never binge watched before.
Buffy.
Buffy the Vampire being one of those, because I definitely believe it's one of the most culture waving type of shows that's out there, and like a lot of people quoted it.
He's really influential as a writer, especially in dialogue.
Most definitely, exactly. So it's like I definitely looking forward to that. I like Avengers. I don't really care for the second one too much, but the big thing with it is that I hate when this happens. They say never meet your heroes because they'll disappoint you. I hate, and this happens all the time, specifically for music, but like seeing how much of a baby he is on Twitter. He's that dude who like will say something and it's either super ignorant or it's just not funny. Then people go like, bro, that's super ignorant or that's just not funny. And he gets mad at them. Oh, you don't understand. I'm leaving Twitter. And he does that repeatedly. And that's so obnoxious.
Yeah.
Especially when you then see it professionally. Avengers 2 wasn't what I wanted it to be. It was a complete, I hate it. Like, no, yeah, no problem. Like, I get the difficulty of it, but it's like, bro, you're complaining a lot. Like, I'm seeing an article every single week that's not speculating. It's quoting you, talking about, like, I had to end it with him not saying assemble because I wanted it to be really cool when what's his name? Captain America just says, Avengers, and then I had to cut it because, producers are so annoying. They're so annoying in Marvel. And I'm like, bro, stop complaining. Now he's at DC, and I'm seeing it like, do you really like that boy? Or is he just a rebound because you got dumped? You get what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah, it's a lot of just sort of burning bridges and pettiness, it feels like. And just let some bygones be bygones.
Exactly.
I think,
Yeah. So again, this is from a fan's perspective. This is just how it seems, right?
Yeah.
But I would like to think y'all are rich, especially when you're dealing with the biggest movies. You would have a better publicist unless you really are that person and you don't care. The tweet you mentioned was something in where someone tweeted out that
Joanna Robinson, I believe, tweeted out something that was criticizing the villain
in Justice League.
Shattenwolf, or what is it? What is his
name?
It
should be Shattenwolf, but his name is Steppenwolf. Saying that he's as bad as the meme villain from Thor 2. The almighty Malekith, who he's a joke. Saying that he was as bad as him. Now here's the thing. I endorse that tweet 1,000%. She's right. She really is. I'd retweet that more than once if I could. Problem is, though, if you're working on the movie, especially when you're the one who is helping a friend, like literally, supposedly a friend who's going through something difficult, why would you like that, knowing that unless it's your fault for Steppenwolf, which supposedly it's not, you're saying that your friend's product sucked and he's grieving over there and you came in to help him. Yeah. Anyone can say that it's terrible.
It's a really bad look.
You can't. You guys are literally not only friends, you're business partners, dude. This is still your movie that you're working on. And then, like, you not getting the director's credit, I don't know whose idea that is. You not doing the press, I'll side with you and say that it's because you don't want to overshadow, what's his name? But, I don't know. The changes that you made to his movie, it kind of seems like Snyder, it's because you didn't get the final product you wanted it to be. And that's a little like... Because as we said, and as all of us are observing, this feels like two visions tugging at each other.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. It's like you said, you don't have to disagree with the sentiment to disagree with the action. And it just seems like a stupid, petty thing. And this is part of the consequence of being a celebrity on Twitter, is you sometimes maybe overshare a little bit. More bad news on top of the bad box office for Justice League is another listless performance from Ben Affleck. Continues to draw attention and rumors of his possible departure from the franchise, with the latest rumors surrounding the idea of Jake Gyllenhaal assuming the role of the Caped Crusader. This is kind of funny to me because Jake Gyllenhaal was originally rumored to take over for Spider-Man back when Tobey Maguire was negotiating for more money on Spider-Man 2, like over a decade ago. He's still the go-to replacement superhero. But Art, are you just yay or nay in general on the idea of Batfleck being replaced in the Justice League going forward?
No. One, I'm just going to say, don't talk to Jake. We talked about this when we were talking about like who's going to be the Star Wars director. I don't want Jake involved. Like, Jake's my favorite actor. I've always said this. Jake is my favorite actor working today. I don't want him anywhere near this. I really
Yeah.
want him on a franchise. I've always said that the reason he doesn't get enough recognition is because he doesn't have that franchise that everybody else has. Like,
But it allows him to do all these awesome movies.
Exactly, but I do hate that he doesn't have a franchise. But I'd rather him not get that, so I can keep him for myself.
But any actor, like forget Gyllenhaal. Are you against the idea of replacing Ben Affleck?
Marriage is a sacred union. And this contract that Affleck was supposed to get with this is his sacred union, and he can't complain now that he just wants to leave. He knows what he was getting himself into. You know who has the writing credits on this movie? Chris Terrio. You know who Chris Terrio is?
Oh, isn't that his boy?
Yes, his boy who literally has to rewrite things if Ben Affleck is meant to be in the movie. So what is he complaining about? You know what I mean? Like, I would get it if he was someone like Gal Gadot, who came into this movie, right? And now she's making requests saying, I refuse to work on these movies if Brett Ratner is a producer or something on them because of his history, and I will not support that. No, you don't like the fact that everyone's making fun of you, the sad fleck, all these other things. You gotta man up. If your boy is writing the movie, if you were giving the opportunity to creatively direct something and then you stepped down because it was too much pressure and no one paid attention to my last movie. Did you ever see that interview? He was really upset because this is about Live at Night. I still haven't seen, or Live by Night, whatever it was called.
I think Ram really liked it though.
Who?
Ram?
Good for him. Good for Ram. Yeah, but here's the thing. Ram doesn't even like this new one. And Ram's a boy who adores Justice League or Batman v Superman. He didn't even like Justice League, and that's the issue. You are 1000% when you see it in the trailers, dude. In the movie, it's like you want to look at the screen and just be like, wink for help if you need help. He doesn't want to be there.
That's why I'm going yay. Like, get him out of there. If he doesn't want to be in the movie, get someone who does want to be in the movie.
I guess, but no, he just needs to grow up.
What do we talk about when we talk about what is the best superhero movie of this whole generation? I'd say like
Spider-Man
70% of people, 70% of people will go Dark Knight, right?
A lot of people will, yes.
You know what we don't talk about? That they replaced Katie Holmes with Maggie Gyllenhaal in that movie. It doesn't matter anymore. It just works because the movie works, and it worked better because Maggie Gyllenhaal's a better actress than Katie Holmes.
What was Maggie Gyllenhaal's role?
Rachel Dawes?
You say that with a question mark. Still, my point still stands. Exactly. There's a big difference. No, it is. You actually did get it right. But the difference is Rachel Dawes, Batman.
I see that,
what I mean?
But how does it help any future Batman movie to have such a bored performance at the center of it? Like, maybe I've heard some rumors of maybe they can age Affleck up and have a Batman Forever, whatever kind of situation.
No, actually, my biggest thing is, I don't know how you would do it, but I hope they do, because I think they're doing this with the Joker. I think the Batman solo movie, since Batman right now is supposed to be like, I don't know, Hugh Hefner's age, he's like 60 or something.
Yeah.
Have it be a 19, 20-year-old Batman just starting up.
Right.
So you can recast. You'll have to find someone like Ben Affleck. I don't care. Do it. You found someone who looked like Han Solo. Find someone who looks like Ben Affleck and have that be the franchise. Just take it off. All those movies. Because there's a plan. That's why they did Batman v Superman. It was a mistake because not everybody knows. But I've said this multiple times. Batman v Superman, when you finally collect the entire DC collection, that's the last one. That's the last one. You're supposed to watch all the other ones before you get to that one. I say cast somebody else. Or yeah, what you're saying, Batman Beyond it. Just bring somebody else new in because it ain't working.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
he's got to stay. I don't care. He's got to stay.
You're keeping him ball and chain.
He's committed. I don't care. You got to stay.
One last Justice League story. There has been a bit of controversy surrounding the idea of how the film shoots its women, particularly Gal Gadot, the star of Wonder Woman, who plays a part of the Justice League. A lot of people are noting that she's depicted a bit differently here, just visually, than she was in her own solo movie, which was directed, of course, by Patty Jenkins, a woman, not the men who were at the helm of Justice League. There was also this meme going around the internet, which we were discussing earlier, Art and I, of the Amazonian women from Wonder Woman who
Sports Illustrated model,
who are much more fully clothed than the Amazonian women in Justice League. Art, are you yay or nay on the way the movie has approached its female characters?
You know what? I'm actually nay about it. We were talking about this before the show. We brought up, for one, if you see my videos, if you know me in general, all this talk about like the one where the Amazonians aren't wearing, it's just a bra or whatever. That was in the first one. All of you guys trying to that makes sense. Like you want to train like that. All this thing about the sexualization or whatever. Y'all are okay with Jason Momoa not wearing a shirt. Superman, spoilers, he's in this movie. You idiots, he's also in the poster.
Right.
Yeah, so he comes out in this movie. He doesn't wear a shirt for like 30 minutes. Like straight up 30 minutes. It's just chest hair just right there chilling and all. That's not a problem. But I will say this. It is very noticeable what they do to Wonder Woman. As for one who's very much like, you stop your complaining. I can tell that what you're doing right now, it doesn't really go hand in hand with like an actual point. It seems you're just complaining to complain. I am with them on this. That says a lot.
So can you, for me, I haven't seen the movie.
Okay.
Is it the way? Is it the angle?
Okay.
I've heard a lot of butt shots.
Ooh, okay, so the thing is, when you see the trailer, there's like scenes where she's fighting and she does like this twist move. Everyone keeps using that like, oh, you can see the butt. It's like, okay, I can stand up right now and turn around. That's not a butt shot. It's just I have a butt. It's going to get in the shot. That same like twisting around, like kicking someone is in Wonder Woman. This is what I'm talking about. We got to learn to separate these things. There's some people who overhype things. They're going to say that. No, there are legit shots where you follow Batman as you would. I like to call it the only God forgives shot, the shoulder shot, where you follow someone from the shoulder as they go and they meet up with somebody else. The men get it from the shoulders. She gets it from the booty.
Right.
And it follows her butt up. Perfect example, and I kid you not, this is exactly the scene. Go back to Fast 5. There is a scene where they need to get intel from somebody. Fingerprints or whatever it is. And they're like, obviously this takes place like, I want to say it's in South America. And she's like, I'll do it. Or they're like, how are we going to get it? And she's like, I'll do it. Because Gal is in that movie. And she takes off her whatever and she's in her bikini. Shows her butt. And it follows her butt to the guy. She was a model before all this. There's nothing wrong with that. So you extremists who are saying, no, she doesn't respect women because she can't even respect herself. Y'all need to chill. Y'all can't praise her for Wonder Woman and then say it's her fault here. No. It is not her fault. The difference is in the characters. That character in Fast and Furious was meant to be seductive. Y'all have not set up the character of Wonder Woman to be that, especially after the work that Patty Jenkins did. And then I don't want to blame Zack Snyder. I want to blame Josh Whedon, again, because he did the same thing to Black Widow in Ultron, to come in and shoot her from that perspective. This is from a man. I ain't going to complain about it because Gal Gadot is beautiful, all right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying here is that it does not make any sense.
Right. And it just... You notice the difference, especially because we have this other movie to compare her to.
Out of character as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't seen it, but I'm hoping that it's something that they note going forward, especially given how magnetic Gal Gadot's presence has been, and I enjoyed Wonder Woman a lot. So, yeah, I think it's cool that we're talking about this stuff. I agree, though. It's good when we can separate what's really.
Yeah, there's one.
From what's just
she wears like
continuity.
a dress. Yeah, there's like a dress, and they're like, "Oh, that shows all." I'm like, "No, bro, that's just a dress." No. But there are the actual shots when it follows her. It's legit. Like, this ain't a we were just talking about mixing tones. I'm looking at it. I'm like, this ain't a Fast and Furious movie. That does not make any sense.
All right, we are almost out of time for Yay or Nay, so we're going to go to the rough cuts. A Super Mario Bros. Animated movie is in the works at Illumination Entertainment. Art, yay or nay on the Despicable Me team being the right match for the Mario Bros?
No, why'd you have to hit me with that one? I was so yay. I'm one of the very few who even likes the really bad old one. Ooh, I'm going to have to say nay right now, only because this it can change. Nay right now because I don't know what they're going to do with them.
I'm going to surprise myself and say yay. In my opinion, the Minions are among the most annoying creations put on this planet in this millennia. But I don't really see the Mario games as a good visual match for the types of stories that like Pixar tells or DreamWorks Entertainment tells. I think in the Despicable Me kind of cartoonish way, like maybe this works, and I don't like myself for thinking that.
You don't even believe it.
Paramount wants Taraji P. Henson to star in What Men Want, revisiting the Mel Gibson movie What Women Want from a female perspective. Art, yay or nay on this premise?
Okay, on the premise. Yeah, sure. Okay. Taraji P. Henson's in a lot of things. And here's my issue with it, and actually, I'll change it to no. I want Taraji P. Henson to get her own roles. I don't want her to keep doing the black version of John Wick, which seems to be coming out. You know what I'm talking about?
Right,
or
right.
just the black female version of something. I get it. There's no problem. And I hope those movies are good. But I don't... This is a hand-me-down of a Mel Gibson movie. I don't want you to have a hand-me-down. Create your own thing. It's not bashing you. It's literally wanting you to... Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that Mel Gibson movie came out at a time when our gender politics were a bit different and a lot less nuanced.
I've never seen it, so I don't know what it...
I've only seen reruns on cable and stuff.
Yeah,
but,
right. You saw last night.
Yeah, I researched for this, but it's I just don't see how this premise is gonna hold up unless you get a really smart writer on it. I like Taraji P. Henson, but yeah, I'm with you. Like, I'd like her to have a more interesting, unique kind of film.
Are they trying to Birth of a Nation it? Is that what they're trying to do? Make a new one to overshadow it?
Maybe. Movie Pass cut its prices to $6.95 from its previous $9.95 monthly price. I'm pretty pissed about this because I just paid for my Movie Pass account about a week ago. Art, yay or nay?
Nay, don't do it. Here's the thing. The $9.95 is still there. The point is that if you want to pay $9.95, guys, that's already ridiculous enough. I see that you're upset. Don't. If one ticket price already pays for it. Don't worry. Let's not get too greedy. Take your freedom. The difference is that if you want to pay it monthly, which allows you to be able to quit at any single point in time, it's $9.95 a month, which again, one ticket pays it. The $6.95 a month isn't necessarily monthly. What they want you to do is pay for the entirety up front. That way you're stuck with them in this contract, but that means you cannot leave. And the issues that they have for you leaving is that they're going to make you pay for every single movie that you watch. So if you use it so much, let's say during the summer or whatever, and then winter comes and you don't go out at all, but you saw like a buttload and you're like, oh, I don't want to pay the rest of it. Nah, it ain't worth it. And any little changes that they do, you're stuck in a contract. If you really want to save the $3 a month, go for it. I don't see it as being like the worst thing in the world. I like my freedom. $9 is already cheap enough. Go for that.
I guess $3 is worth the price to pay for freedom. I just kind of feel bad at the timing about it all, so I'm going to go nay. And The Incredibles 2 teaser trailer dropped. The movie that is 14 years in the making at least is going to be out early next year. Art, yay or nay on this bit of footage we're getting?
I saw it in an accident because somebody else uploaded it and said this was a
You
really
have
cool
that no
animation.
trailer watching policy.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm watching this. I was like, this looks like it is The Incredibles. I'm cool with it because, as we were talking about, it is not actual footage from the movie yet.
Yeah.
It is they created something extra. And when animations can do that, animations, they animated extra footage they didn't need to. Just makes me wonder why live action movies aren't doing that to not spoil their movies if they don't know how to cut their trailer and show anything from the halfway point. I liked it.
Yeah, I'm going to go yay too. We've talked about this before. When a trailer can find a way to not spoil actual footage from the movie and still get you intrigued,
yes,
that's a good thing in my opinion. I'm for it, and I'm definitely for Incredibles 2. I'm excited to check that film out. We move on to our topic of the week, and this week it's a doozy. Rotten Tomatoes is a big touchstone, a big controversial point in the film world right now and always. It seems to always find itself at the center of controversy, given that it is the go-to source for figuring out what the general critical consensus is on a film. The most recent iteration of these issues is around Justice League. Now, Justice League, or Warner Brothers DC Universe fans, I should say, in the past have spoken out against Rotten Tomatoes, called them biased, called the site. It basically put the site, accused the site of some nefarious actions to plummet the scores of different DC movies, from Batman v Superman to Suicide Squad and more. Just the general feeling that Rotten Tomatoes hasn't given those movies their due. This is a little weird because Warner Brothers is one of the companies that owns Rotten Tomatoes. Doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
But the most recent move that Rotten Tomatoes has done to combat this is they did not release the tomato score, the critical consensus score for Justice League publicly on the Rotten Tomatoes page until the Friday of the film's release, until after the midnight crowds had already been able to watch it. They revealed it on a Thursday on a new show they're developing called See It and Skip It.
It's called Dookie is what it is, yeah.
So it's just the latest move in Rotten Tomatoes' attempts to appease people upset with its general process. Art, what are your feelings on the delaying of tomato scores? Do you think this is a good thing, bad thing, or an awful thing?
All right, so we're starting with that one. Delaying. Am I talking about the show or just the idea of delaying the Rotten Tomatoes?
Just the idea of delaying the tomato scores.
It's idiotic. What are you talking about? If you are doing that, you are now hyping up your score, which you always fall back on. Oh well, it's just a consensus thing. We don't really have any responsibility or whatever. Okay, then don't do this. Nah. You can't see the score. What do you?
Right.
No, you're actually explain real quick what it is, because some people still don't understand Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, and this is the thing that always bothers me. I tweeted about how this bothers me just the other day. If a movie such as Justice League gets a 40% score on Rotten Tomatoes, that means about 2 out of 5 critics liked the movie. That's
people don't know math.
People don't know math.
Yeah.
People think that because something is less than 50%, or even if it's got like a 55% and Rotten Tomatoes gives it that not fresh rating, that splat, that tomato splat, they assume, oh, all the critics hated it. That's not what that score means.
Yeah, in fact, I think the 55% ones are the most interesting, because that means half of the people didn't like it, the other half didn't. Yo, what the heck is this movie about, and on which side am I? Those are the most intriguing ones, usually, for the most part. They're a gamble, but they're cool. It's like a Reddit 50 for 50. What you're going to get. I'm okay with it. The way that it works, it's weird, because I don't think it's as... it's like 9 out of 10 doctors. Okay, whatever. But I prefer actually seeing the average score as opposed to how many. But... for this idea of releasing it later, what's the point of it?
Yeah, I mean, so the idea, I believe, in releasing it later is if general audiences don't see the score, they won't use that to decide whether or not to go to the movie. That didn't really seem to help Justice League this weekend.
Right.
If that's what they're contending.
The first episode, the first test of this already failed that.
Yeah.
So what was their second reason for doing this?
Just to promote See It, Skip It?
Exactly. So already you can tell this is a complete failure. Literally, this isn't... No, it already failed. The big issue with this is that Rotten Tomatoes, let's be completely honest, all these people who keep talking about like, oh, Rotten Tomatoes was affected. Shut up. Boyhood did not make bank at the box office, and that had 98%. I can tell you a lot of movies that have 98, even 100%. I thought Rotten Tomatoes is supposed to help that.
Forget Boyhood, an indie movie like that. What about Mad Max Fury Road? That is a blockbuster movie.
Hey, what about all the Transformers movies?
Right, that make so much money despite their awful
But Rotten
critical
Tomatoes
scores.
says don't.
Somehow it's only Warner Brothers DC movies that are affected by their tomato scores.
Makes
box
absolutely
office. I don't
no
understand.
sense. That is not how it works. I don't think Rotten Tomatoes is as big as they think it is. Now, I do believe that there is a shift in things. Don't get me wrong. I do believe that it can affect what people want to watch, but the overlying thing is that if somebody wants to watch something, they're going to watch it. The people who watch Transformers don't care about reviews. They are going to watch it. What I think it hurts the most is for the indie movies, and again, it doesn't affect them fully, but it does affect them partially, because the only reason we know about them is because they're getting a little bit of buzz. I wish Rotten Tomatoes wasn't the biggest thing, yet we're making a segment on it which shows you that it is. People know about it, shows you that it is. I watch trailers for movies, and I think it's super corny, yet it's reality, that Disney pushed Thor as fresh, that Get Out pushed itself as fresh. So they're putting it into the actual marketing.
Yeah, well, they know people understand and react to what these ratings are. You know, people see it as a sign of approval, some kind of stamp of quality, but it can mean so many different things. And it just because it's got a consensus doesn't mean it's great. Just could be like everybody finds it above average. So I don't know. The delaying of the tomato scores seems like a completely ludicrous idea.
It is.
Like we mentioned, it doesn't work. I understand maybe wanting to delay it until a good chunk of people have seen it.
See, okay,
but
no, that's a different issue. Delay it until you get a certain, like what IMDb used to do, but that's like IMDb is a whole different thing. Get a certain amount of critics to watch it, because I always think it's unfair. I see a thing and I'm like, oh well, these are just like freaking Brazilian critics who are reviewing this Brazilian movie. Why is it that no one wants to review all those black films that come out and nobody wants to review them? I see, and it's like a total of 80, and then I got 400 critics over here. Where did all these critics come? A critic should watch every single movie. If they're not watching every single movie because they're like, oh well, I can't connect with that, then what the heck? That shows me your bias. A film critic is supposed to be a critic of film, not a critic of a specific genre or a blockbuster, because it's going to get their newspaper or blog more views.
Is that one of your major problems then with Rotten Tomatoes?
Yes,
what are your big problems?
Yes, that is my biggest issue with Rotten Tomatoes. I look at it and I see the consensus and I only see a couple of people.
Right.
Or sometimes I see a lot and I'm like, okay, why a lot for this and not for other movies?
Right.
That's always bothered me. I've never understood it, because then that brings up the next issue of, well, then do critics have a bias because they're saying they're not going to see Girls Trip over here because it's not their movie?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of critics and the lack of distinction among critics is the chief problem. I think that's the chief problem with Rotten Tomatoes is not just the lack of some critics in certain areas, but just not being able to identify who's who and what's what. They have the only difference they make is they distinguish certain people as top critics. But as somebody who's been distinguished top critic on Rotten Tomatoes before, I can tell you it's just about what place you write for. It's not about whether or not you're smart or you deserve that or anything like that. I was lucky enough to write for a reputable place, and they gave me the top critic rating. Now that. The fact that you can't organize more than that is a huge problem. You know, when you're going to judge whether or not you want to see the new Justice League movie, if you're the kind of person who wants to see the Justice League movie, you probably don't care about the New Yorker's review of it or Film Comment's review of it or all these like pretentious magazines' reviews of it. And the same way that like I don't care about what like Slash Film has to say about the Florida Project.
Exactly.
You know, so there are certain places that are a little bit more equipped to handle certain things, and they're a little bit more in line with certain audiences. And the way that Rotten Tomatoes just kind of smacks everything together, puts the New York Times next to Joe's movie blog, and only gives you the distinction by that little like green star, it doesn't make any sense. And that's not the way that movies are reviewed now. Like for me, you know, if I see Edgar Wright give a movie a cosign on Twitter, I think that movie's Rotten Tomatoes score should go up. You know?
I don't care what the Rotten Tomato score is at that point. All I care about is the fact that someone who I liked it. You hit it right on the thing.
Right.
Find the person, not people. What is this mom and dad? What is this hype beast thing? No, who cares about the general consensus? Who do you share an opinion with? What professional who has to watch every movie so you don't have to? I get that. Tickets are expensive, especially for your family. If you're buying a multitude of them, you have to rely on somebody else. So find that person who you like the most, who you agree with the most. Have that person be your go-to. Have a couple of people. I know who my go-tos are, and if they mention it, I don't care what the Rotten Tomato score is. I go see The Book of Henry because of how crazy it was supposed to be. I go see I Origins because someone mentioned it as being a good movie. It had a 50-something score. I saw it and liked it.
Yeah, and finding that person doesn't mean finding somebody who has the exact same taste as you, because chances are there's nobody out there.
That don't exist.
Exactly. But it's just finding somebody who approaches movies in the same type of way that you do. Who at least, like, you know, I know that if I'm going to read one of David Ehrlich's reviews, I'm going to get something that's a little bit thoughtful and coming from a place of maybe less appreciating mainstream and more being in the indie world.
Yes.
That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to agree with every single thing he says. But it will give me some insight into the movie.
Yes.
So, yeah, and I think that is really important, is like being able to find the people you agree with, and the fact that Rotten Tomatoes is pretty much limited to print publications and online publications. You know, there's like 2 or 3 YouTubers on there, not really a large amount. The fact that there, like I mentioned, no tweets on there, when a lot of the film critics I know, if they don't get an assignment to write about a movie, they'll tweet their reaction to it. Like all that stuff to me matters. And I think if Rotten Tomatoes can't find a way to help you align with people who have similar thought processes as you, or let you filter out some of these voices, it's less of a useful tool. I mean, you know what, we don't know if 400 critics rate a movie if 300 of them are dumb.
Exactly. To put it the way it is, the only reason Rotten Tomatoes and the reason we're talking about them right now is because we've given them that power. We give them that attention.
Yeah.
I even see the junkets that they do. They're not good. Like,
Yeah.
they're really not, but they get the power to do that. And to put it simply, Rotten Tomatoes would not be what it is, would not have the power unless we do it, unless we take it away. It would not have that.
Should the way that Rotten Tomatoes gives out scores change? Right now, you have certified fresh for the best of the best movies, fresh for movies that I believe are above 65%, and rotten for ones that are below it. Most movies are just okay, though. So I'm curious what you think.
No, you see, the thing, like I was saying, I mean, just we were talking about this, the name, Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, Scorsese criticized it. He said the name is insulting, and it's part of the reason why people quote people who seem to take pleasure in seeing films and filmmakers rejected exist. So,
and that's from someone who his films do well on Rotten Tomatoes. But it's the idea of it, and the thing is, Rotten Tomatoes can do whatever it wants. It really can. Anybody can do whatever they want. Mumble rappers can do whatever they want. Mumblecore movies can make whatever movies they want. YouTubers who vlog can do whatever they want. They only get attention and become big when you give it to them.
Yeah.
That's what makes it big. This is what Rotten Tomatoes is. Rotten Tomatoes is the YouTube trending page. That's what it is.
It's broken.
It's broken, and you do not need to give it attention unless you want to give it attention and follow whatever it is that they want to shove into your face. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, you can't really get a very clear distinction on what these movies are from checking out its Rotten Tomatoes page. Like I mentioned, there's the limited amount of ratings that each of these movies get, certified fresh, or rotten. Just the fact that there's no like okay rating there is weird to me. Like there's no real spectrum there. I feel like one thing I'd love to see Rotten Tomatoes do, just to sort of attempt to be a little bit better than it is now, is give out some kind of other score as well. You know, right now if you go to a movie's page,
they have the audience.
You have the audience page, you have the critic score, and you have the audience score, but I'd love to see like a divisiveness score, or not, like we mentioned, since it's just a percentage score, what about a weighted score? What about an average? You know, what if 60% of people like it, but on average it's scoring a 7.8? I'd love to see the disparity there, or just a little bit more information than like 5 out of 10 dentists approve.
But that's Metacritic, and people don't go to Metacritic.
I go to Metacritic.
That's what I'm saying, though. We do.
Yeah.
Because that's the average. People don't go to Metacritic. They go to Rotten Tomatoes. So the issue isn't what Rotten Tomatoes is doing. Rotten Tomatoes can do whatever they want. It ain't illegal. It ain't bad. It's not even like morally wrong what they're doing. That's just the route that they decided to go on, that average. Whether we like it or not, then that means we go use another service. Problem is, people want to use this service. We've given it the power. You don't want Rotten Tomatoes to be big? Then studios, stop complaining about it, but also using it to your benefit on trailers. People, stop using it to search up things that, you know, for ratings or whatever else. Actually, stop even giving it the attention. What we're doing right now is giving it the attention. But they're even undermining themselves. This whole see it or skip it thing, I disagree with that. That is the one point that I will disagree with it, because I think every movie deserves to be viewed. It just depends where.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
see it and skip. Or go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I don't really like the premise of a show, see it or skip it. It's a little bit too reductive.
Yeah, no offense to their hosts.
No offense to their hosts who I think
they
are good
good. I saw the episode. I don't like it. It ain't for me.
They're good Twitter follows, I'll say. But yeah, the show itself is not really fun. And I'll also say, like, you know, I understand holding the tomato scores off to try and promote the show, but that's not. Then you're kind of not doing what your site is there for. What happens when
studios start paying for it? What happens to the indies who actually thrive off that because they can't get any recognition unless it's like, oh, this is a movie that's doing pretty good? It ends up hurting people or hurting some movies or be manipulative to some other movies.
Do you think Rotten Tomatoes would be a more useful or maybe just a more tolerable website if they removed scores entirely and just had quotes?
Maybe. I would say we do our first segment of each week. Every single episode is what we watch, and we never give a score. I don't care about scores. Scores are redundant. I want to know what a person has to say. That's literally what I care about. So yeah.
Yeah, there's movies that I didn't like but was far more interested watching than movies that I would call entertaining.
I wish they promoted the consensus more. I'm actually fine with the consensus over everything. Like sometimes I look at it and I'm like, oh, but actually it kind of gives a reasoning, because even in the consensus for a movie that has 55%, it will tell you in the first line what's good about it and then what's not, and then you have
those little consensus blurbs are actually very good.
So yes,
whoever writes them is pretty solid.
Because sometimes I see the consensus and what they're saying is bad, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, nah, that actually sounds good. And sometimes they're bashing, or they're not bashing it. It's just the consensus of what makes it bad, and that makes it good for me.
Right.
And I'm like, let's do it. Let's go watch it.
Yeah. I know it's an unpopular piece of advice, but really the best way for the Rotten Tomatoes problem to be solved is just read more, watch more, find people whose opinions you enjoy listening to, and use them as guides rather than a cold, inhuman algorithm. But that takes time, and that takes effort, and nobody wants to deal with all that. So we should move on to our final segment. Art, do you have any final thoughts?
When you go watch the movies, ask for no tomatoes. Just that's all you gotta do. You shouldn't have tomatoes in your sandwich anyway. So yeah, there you go.
All right, this is the new to see, starting with what's new in theaters, November 22nd. Getting one big release, Coco. It's going to be preempted by a new Frozen short, Olaf's Frozen Adventure.
I'm tired.
But Coco is the new film from, is it Disney Animation, right?
Yeah,
I'm not wrong,
Pixar.
right?
It's Pixar.
Oh, it is Pixar?
Yeah, it's my uncle.
Oh, I got confused by the Olaf.
No,
thing
yeah. Well, I mean,
being attached to it.
I'm pretty sure recently Disney bought out Pixar, so they work together now. So
yeah, I guess so. So yeah, Art, you seem pumped for this one.
Oh yeah, it's I have absolutely no idea what it's about other than Mexicans, but I've been hearing good things on Twitter. People were talking about like there's a part that hits you and it's going to hit you, and I'm like, let's do this, let's go.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a lack of good animated movies
a little bit of a dry
this year.
Yeah.
I'd say like Lego Batman is probably the best one.
Good.
So that Coco's
I want that
all
Pixar.
ready to maybe sweep away the best animated.
Bro, it's Thanksgiving. Last year we had Moana. It's that time for that family film. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, we need some good Pixar back in our lives. Also in limited release this weekend, Chappaquiddick, the film with Jason Clarke, Kate Mara, and Ed Helms about Ted Kennedy, I believe. The Man Who Invented Christmas with Christopher Plummer and Dan Stevens.
No, Dan Stevens got to go away for a bit. You got to hibernate for a bit.
The Darkest Hour with Gary Oldman, John Hurt, and Lily James. And Call Me By Your Name, Armie Hammer, Timothy Chalamet, Michael Stuhlbarg. Most of these movies are only playing in New York and L.A.
Yeah,
but I know I'm going to try and check this one out. I actually am seeing Call Me By Your Name tonight, so I will get back to you. Check out my Twitter for my thoughts on that, because a lot of people are talking about that as one of the best movies of the year, and is a big Oscar contender.
Yes, I will always. It was the final movie that I saw at Sundance, so just that alone, like I guess the bias for it, what it means to me, but the movie's just good, bro. Every time I see the trailer, the music is what makes it. Oh, the music is so good, and the performance.
And so everything makes it.
And the cinematography and the directing, and Michael Stuhlbarg has this really good scene.
Ooh, yeah, everybody's talking about
that one scene between him and his son is so good, and the credits, the credits.
Everybody's talking about Stuhlbarg being like just stealing the end of that movie.
Oh, yes.
I'm so excited. Quick, Stuhlbarg or Sam Rockwell? Who's your better supporting actor?
Why are you doing me like that? No, Rockwell, I think, really got more into it. So in terms of acting, Stuhlbarg is just, his acting is obviously great, but it's what he does that you like. You like him more as a person than more than the performance. You get what I mean? So yeah.
I get you.
They better both get noms though. So.
Yeah. New to streaming on Netflix on November 22nd, The Boss Baby. Yes, finally can catch up with Alec Baldwin. And also Godless. This is a 7-part series co-created by Steven Soderbergh, which is a Western set in a mining town where all the men died in a mining accident, leaving the women to run things and uphold the law. I'm excited to check this one out.
Oh my god. I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah, Godless, man. November 22nd.
Bro, this sounds like Why the Last Man, my favorite comic book series of all time. Definitely read it. And you said, who?
Steven Soderbergh co-creating that?
I don't know why I took off these headphones when I'm hearing the headphones. Bro, that man's a genius.
Yeah, it's it also is co-run, I believe, by Scott Frank, who did an interesting movie called The Lookout a few years ago. He's a good screenwriter. believe he wrote Logan. Could be wrong about that.
Okay.
He's another guy
Western
to be excited for too.
You said Netflix.
Yeah, definitely want to check
7-part.
that one out. Good thing to binge over the Thanksgiving weekend. Along with, on November 23rd, we'll be getting the She's Gotta Have It TV series for Netflix. Spike Lee is adapting his 1988 movie for the modern day. It's been getting some decent reviews so far, so I'll check that one out.
Sure. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
HBO Go on November 25th is unleashing Kong Skull Island, directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts. November 26th, Warcraft, directed by Duncan Jones. And on November 27th, Meth Storm, which sounds like a messed up spin-off of Sharknado, but is actually a documentary about meth coming across the U.S.-Mexican border.
Oh, okay.
And on Amazon, November 24th, they are adding to Amazon Prime Video Fences, the Denzel Washington film from last year, where he was nominated for a couple Oscars. Solid movie. Yeah. And The Big Sick, one of Art and I's favorite movies from this year, directed by Michael Showalter, co-written by Kumail Nanjiani, who also stars in it. It's a delightful comedy. So if you have Amazon Prime, it might be worth checking out.
They gotta fix that ending, though. We
and
never talked about the ending, but there's an ending. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree with you a lot there. We should talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
Big week for new to VOD, November 21st. We're getting Good Time, a really highly reviewed film directed by the Safdie brothers, starring Robert Pattinson. I also missed it, so I'm excited to catch up with that. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit on next week's show. Also on VOD on the 21st, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, which for some reason I really want to see. I don't know why I want to see it. It got bad reviews.
I liked it.
I want to catch up with it so badly. It just looks cool.
No, it did look really cool. And I'm not a person who likes The Fifth Element too much or whatever else he's done. Bro, I went into there. Maybe it's because, like, I'm still rooting for, what's his name?
Your boy Dane DeHaan.
I'm still rooting for him because Chronicle goes way back to like when I first was like, I want to do this movie thing, and like I'm still rooting for the boy, even though I feel like he's like that guy with the inheritance who just blew all of his chances.
You blew it.
You were the one. And eyebrows.
Cara Delevingne.
I think she's fantastic. I think she's great.
Awesome.
I like her a lot. But no, she's in the movie, and even the Rihanna scene, which I was ready to rip apart, there's something about it. I
keep hearing that the Rihanna scene is like the best scene of the year.
It's really cool, just the progression of it. Like, I thought this is what these types of movies, you know? Like, when people make fun of, you're into like Battlestar Galactica and this other like weird I thought that's what this was supposed to be, because like...
No, I mean, you look at a lot of the big blockbuster sci-fi adjacent movies we get, and a lot of it is kind of like a CGI mess. And this seems like a movie that's really emphasizing the visuals and just the artistry of it.
Very concrete. It's a whole world. Like, this is a world. And I appreciated that. Like, this is a world that there's more into it. I ain't gonna read into it, but I appreciate that there is lore there. I think you'll like it, dude. Because I did.
Also, I'm so excited. On November 21st, also, The Hitman's Bodyguard, a movie that inexplicably spent 3 weeks at #1 in the box office this year.
Really?
Do you even remember that? 3 weeks.
I remember, like, skipping it.
Yeah.
I do want to check this one out at home. That's one I want to check out at home.
Another one is Leap. I skipped that one as well. Crown Heights. I think that one stars Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I saw it at Sundance.
Nice. The Mule, which I've seen posters for everywhere for some reason. And Lemon, which I believe is Judy Greer's directorial debut.
No, it's not Judy Greer.
Oh?
No, she's in the movie, but it is not her directorial debut. It is actually the guy who stars in Lemon. The guy who stars in Lemon, his wife. This is her movie. She did a bunch of shorts. I caught this one at Sundance because I like a lot of the actors in it. Like Judy Greer's playing like a blind girlfriend.
Yeah, you're talking about the actor Brett Gelman, who was recently in Stranger Things 2 as the conspiracy theory guy.
Yes. And he's fantastic. He's really good. I will say this. I did see Lemon in a midnight screening. Maybe that has to do with it. I was seeing a bunch of other movies. There is a style to Lemon that is just not for me. But there is so much style in this movie, you cannot say they did not craft this the way they wanted it to be. I think she has a fantastic vision. I can't stand Lemon, though. Like, to me, it was just like, what is happening? But there is a vision to this movie. Watch it at home if you want to, because they put a lot of hard work into it.
Cool.
It's not for me.
Yeah, maybe this is one that you want to, like, test out the trailer for before you hit
so
that
weird,
rental button. We're getting towards the end of the show, Art, what is your pick for the week?
My pick for the week, obviously cannot be Justice League, but if you want to go out to the theaters, then go watch 3 Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri. Watch it on a weekday, not a weekend when you're trying to line things up, but definitely check it out because I think it's got one of the best performances and it's really good. Say you want to stay at home, you do have some action side if you want to see The Punisher. I only caught the first couple of episodes. I think it's pretty intriguing. I think it's pretty good to have in the background. Still a little too long for my taste. I cannot stand 50-minute episodes, 13 whatever. A lot of it is fillers just adding up, and then you see the budget come in and they couldn't get good actors. But first episode's pretty solid. You're like, oh, I like John Bernthal. He's pretty good. If you want something a little bit more light, my real top recommendation of the week, you don't got to leave your house. Just stay at home. Trust me on this one. Watch this and tweet at me, American Vandal. Blew my mind. I adore this show. I haven't had this in a while. It's one of those shows that I'm watching it and I just go, I want to make that.
Yes.
And it's not just the premise, it's just the style. It's the way it's approached. I was like inspired by it. Like that is genius.
American Vandal starts with one crass joke and extrapolates that into the best show of 2017 so far, in my opinion.
I'm up there with you, yeah.
The way that it comments on the
ending,
true crime genre, high school culture. It's such a smart show.
Exactly.
It is so smart,
Yeah.
and that mixture of smart and stupid is just hits my funny bone in the right spot.
Yeah,
I
so good.
loved American Vandal.
Because it's super serious and it's not at the same time, but it gets so into it and it's a very well-made show. And here's my biggest issue, because I was watching it, my brother and I were having this discussion because as we were watching it, his girlfriend didn't like it. She's like, it's dumb. And it's like, that's the sad part about it, is that I know a lot of people are going to look at it and just think it's dumb. And we had a discussion after watching it. We both really loved it. We're both excited for season 2. The rumor is that it's a poop bandit who poops in the hallway, so they got to figure out who's doing it. I know it sounds like something that's a Will Ferrell, Seth Rogen type thing, but believe us, it is not. Just go through the first episode. Episode 5 is insane. The camera footage episode, that's Emmy worthy.
The way that it pieces apart the true crime genre and sort of shows you the construction of it and comments on the way that, you know, these investigations become their own kind of fuel. It's a really, really smart show, and you can't let the fact that it's about a stupid premise
I really hope
take
that
away
doesn't
from
ruin
that.
it for a lot of people, because it's like, my mom loves crime shows, but I don't know if she can sit through that just because of the premise of it. But the thing is that it's so absurd, but it's not like, I mean, it's a joke, but that can actually happen in the real world. It's just so crass, but definitely please give it a watch. For you. For you.
For the people. I'm 100% with the American Vandal recommendation. I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago on the show as something that I love.
You did, that's why I watched it.
Yeah, catch up with that. It's on Netflix. My pick for the week, I'll give you one in theaters and one not. And I think I've already mentioned 3 Billboards in the past, but I'll bring it up again because it is one of the best movies of the year, and now it's expanding. Wide release. So if you were not in one of the major cities that had it before, you will hopefully be able to catch the movie now. Again, fantastic performance. It's got some serious stuff to say, but it's really funny too.
It's playing everywhere but Ebbing, Missouri.
Is that true? I wonder if that's true. I wonder, is Ebbing even real?
That would have been funny. No, Missouri's not a real state.
Oh, wow. Who'd have thunk? But my big pick for the week, other than Valerian, which I'm going to catch up on and I haven't seen, is The Big Sick. I really enjoyed this movie. I guess we can maybe talk about what's not so great with the ending, but I think the first 80% of the movie is just really among the most charming romantic comedies that we've had in the past few years. It goes by a different structure than a lot of romantic comedies, and I think gives each of its characters its due. The characters really feel all necessary and relevant and full. A really unexpectedly great Ray Romano performance.
Oh, I was just about to bring him up. Yes,
he just completely caught me by surprise with just how good he is, both dramatically and in that awkward Ray Romano way. And it's just a delightful movie. A lot of people are going to be at home with their families over the Thanksgiving break, and I think this is a pretty easy film to watch with a crowd. There's maybe a few sex jokes, but other than that, like I'm happy to watch this one with my parents. So
No, I thought it was
catch
pretty
up
good.
with The Big Sick if you got Amazon Prime.
Second best 9/11 joke that I've heard in a movie.
A really, really good 9/11 joke.
So, yeah.
Very funny 9/11
That
joke.
recommendation alone, definitely check it out.
But that's all for this week's show. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter @ZShevich or on Instagram also @ZShevich. And check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/multiplexshow. Art, where can people find more from you?
You can find me at the A to Z Show. Tweet me, Facebook me, Instagram me. I don't know if that's, you can Instagram someone, or just follow me on my main YouTube channel, the A to Z Show, working on a couple of other stuff, especially now that we get into the December season and all these like big movies that are coming out with Star Wars and a bunch of the Oscar contenders, a lot of stuff from Sundance that I now get to talk about, so I'm really excited for that. But I also got it's a project that I'm working on. A lot of people ask me to explain a lot of movies, and I know there's like shifting tones, my comedic tone, and then more of a like serious American Vandal dissecting things. So I want to put more effort into my A to Z stuff, so you can check me out also on a channel called Let Me Explain. Any recommendations you guys got, I just pretty much just run down movies, TV shows, anything that I'm watching, and then that way it's kind of like semi my review of it. But I'm a little bit more open. It's just comedic in a sense, and I just cover a movie, and I truly get into spoilers, which is really why I like making explain videos, to explain why this is good in the movie, why this is not, and just run down the entirety of it. So if you have any recommendations, go check out that. But for the really big videos, definitely go check out the A to Z Show. Got someone Call Me By Your Name coming up. Maybe one on 3 Billboards, but yeah, go check that out as well. If not, you can also find me here weekly on the Intercut.
Yes, if you go to our Intercut YouTube page, you can see on the sidebar links not only to my multiplex channel, but to Art's channels, both ATZ Show and Let Me Explain. But you can listen to every episode of the Intercut podcast on SoundCloud and soon on iTunes. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, though, where you'll find new episodes every Tuesday around noon Eastern. Also, like our Facebook, like our Twitter, like our Instagram, do all that stuff. We're at Intercut Pod. Easy to find us. For updates throughout the week, not just from the show, not just from me, just from Art too. I'm retweeting stuff. I'm putting opinions out there, and we're going to get a bunch of memes and stuff going. It'll be a good follow.
Good
Make
time.
sure you give it a follow. Give us that click. It's a really good time. Thanks again for tuning in, though, and until next time, everything I learned from movies. That's why I'm so good at fighting Nazis.
It's true.
Cool.